I must not care. Care is the mind killer. To paraphrase and reinterpret Frank Herbert's quote from Dune, fear, like all emotions, is a naturally selected automatic reaction to stimuli, so as to make these reactions more efficient, and by making them more efficient, to multiply their effectiveness. So what underlies fear is care, and all life cares. It cares primarily for its own survival on its most primitive state. Later it develops other forms of care, but its primary care is to survive, to endure the flux, the cosmic interactivity, the chaos, order, interactivity, which we call existence. To care is to admit to a weakness, to a vulnerability, to an inadequacy, to a dependence. And all life is dependent on other life primarily for its sustenance. The body needs, the mind desires, and I will explain the difference as I think I've done so in the past. The body must find nutrients, energies to replenish what is being constantly lost due to attrition, due to the attrition of the flux of existence. And the mind desires to purge the accumulated energies, to relieve itself from them. Ironically, the excess energies the mind, the brain enjoys is provided by the body's incessant striving to replenish what energies it's losing due to the attrition of the flux. So the body's needs are what feed and provide the excesses of the mind that require constant purging. As Schopenhauer said, all willing springs from lack, from deficiency, and thus from suffering. End quote. Existence, therefore, is experienced as an endless stream of need, of suffering. And it oscillates, again, as Schopenhauer said, between stress and ennui. Stress was of the body's lack, the body's constant need to replenish what energies are being lost. And the brain, the mind, suffers from ennui, from the stress of containing energies it cannot expunge, it cannot purge, and that continue to accumulate. So there's two forms of stress, we could say. The body's, the physical stress, and the mental stress. Need and desire. Again from Schopenhauer. Want and boredom are indeed the twin poles of human life. So our experience with existence oscillates between one or the other, between the body's needs and the mind's desires. What do we care about? We care about what promises either to satisfy the body's needs or to gratify the mind's desires. So when we respect, when we love, we are simply expressing our dependence on an objective that for us is a means of purging our mental energies or of fulfilling our physical needs. As I've noted, What differentiates life from non-life is will, intentionality. That is, all life has an objective. And this is what need and desire refers to. An objective that promises, again, to satisfy needs or to gratify desires. Why do we respect the other? Even respect can be reduced down to need, desire. Because the person we respect, the teacher, the loved one, the friend, he becomes a means through which we satisfy or gratify ourselves. So we respect the teacher because he provides us with guidance. We respect the loved one because he provides us with affection. We respect our friend because he provides us with support, with companionship. And the gratification and satisfaction of need desires, of course, are dependent or determined by our strengths, our powers. These either multiply or reduce our options, and options is how we measure our free will. So the less options we have, the more indifferent we are to the particular. If we have another option, let's say for finding food, then a particular source of food is becomes less important to us. We are more indifferent towards it. If we have another source of sexual gratification, then the specific individual becomes more indifferent towards to us, because we have another source. And because we have another source of gratification, we don't care as much about the specific. And the less options we have, of course, we become obsessed with the specific. This is why obsession is expressed through non-confidence and as neediness, which is very unattractive. Obsessiveness is the extreme of need, desire. So need and desire are expressions of weakness. This is why all life needs and desires to one degree or another, because all life is insufficient, is imperfect, and it is dependent on other life. This is more so the case with social species that have adopted the cooperative strategy of survival and reproduction. Even when we sympathize with another's needs and desires, with another's suffering, it is always within the framework of our own that we experience it. For instance, we project ourselves in the other person's position and then experience vicariously his suffering. But not all empathy necessarily leads to sympathy. We can place ourselves in another person's shoes, let's say, and feel antipathy towards him. We can understand the other person's suffering and feel nothing, neither sympathy or antipathy. For example, when a hunter wants to make a kill, he empathizes with his prey. He imagines himself as the prey to predict its movements, its actions, in order to trap it or to hunt it down. So in this case, empathy does not lead to sympathy or antipathy, but it functions as the satisfaction of a necessity. And for the ancient Greeks, necessity was a primordial goddess. That is before Hellenism became ill. Her name was Anangi, necessity, need. That was a primordial goddess. Later she was replaced by Eros. So we see the shift from the physical to the mental, which was a shift of decadence. And it ushered in the decline of Hellenism, as is evidenced by the emergence of Socrates and then Plato. So necessity, need. Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. Heraclitus, of course, changed it. He said the father of all is war. And what is war a reference to? It's a reference to the flux, to the interactivity of existence, this constant turmoil of existence. We can see the shift in this from body to the mind, from need to eros, which is libidinal, the excess. Eros is always about excess energies requiring expunging. The expunging of energies, of course, can take many forms in man. In animals, there's only one form, reproduction. Excess energies are first directed towards self-maintenance, then to self-growth, then to multiplication. But with man, they take on the form of art or creativity. So we go from procreativity to creativity, which is an externalization of what has been gestating in the brain of a man, let's say an artist, and he gives birth to it in his work of art, or somebody who innovates, he gives birth to what he has gestated in his mind, accumulating data from the world, and then he gives birth to it in the form of a technology, a technique. So this is how the connection, the movement from procreativity to creativity occurs in a man. So a man's mind, a man's brain, is like a womb that collects information, data, synthesizes it, combines it, gestates it, and then if he's successful, if he constructs something useful, he gives birth to it in the form of art or a technology, which is the representation of his understanding of the world. So there's two kinds of art in general, two broad general types of art. There's the type that's, let's call it realism, that tries to represent the world as it is with some of the artists' personal, subjective interpretations and reactions to it. And then there's the other kind of art, the modern art, which I call fart, because it's a product of all these gestating, undigested information that produces methane in form of metaphorical methane in his brain, coming out as mind farts, let's say. And he gives birth to what we see in modern art, expressions of the artist's reaction to reality, his emotional reactions. So we have the realist, who represents reality as it is, with his subjective emotional reactions to it mixed in. And then we have the modern fartist, whose art, if you can call it that, is an expression of his emotional turmoil, his reaction, his antipathy to what he experiences in the world. And this is evident in modern art and in modern architecture. Here again we see the two contexts of care, which we've named need and desire, corresponding to the physical and the mental. We have the artist that needs to understand, to know, to represent the world, to connect with the world. And then we have the desire to push away the world, to replace it, to correct it, to heal it, to usurp it, to alter it, to modify it, to escape it. Both are based on care, on caring, and on the fight-flight mechanism. We can add freeze to that. Fight, flight, or freeze. These are the biological reactions to the world, to a threat, to a world that is threatening to life in general. Two contexts of the same thing. As such, indifference would be a manifestation of power, of independence. As I said before, the more options you have, the more indifferent you become to the particular. Without ever being absolutely omnipotent, you always have some care, right? If you were to be a god, an omnipotent god, then you would be without care. This is why the concept of the Abrahamic God is ridiculous. An omnipotent being will not care about anything. He would not care about man. He will not love man, because this is an expression of weakness, of dependence, and that would contradict his omnipotence. So the only thing that cares is life, because life has an objective. Life needs higher life, desires, and it can only desire if it satisfies its physical needs consistently to produce the excesses of desire.
Bernays, by some accounts, the father of modern marketing. He used his uncle Freud's insights, mostly sexual, because Freud was obsessed with sex, to create the modern marketing industry, which is the use of human nature, of human needs and desires to control and manipulate and exploit human beings. Of course, many Americanized moderns, when I say Americanized, it's synonymous with modernity, because the United States represents a techno-utopia. It's its very ideal is modernity. That is the last man, the forever looking forward man. So many Americanized moderns reject the very notion of human nature, because they reject all forms of collectivization, especially biologically based collectives like species, because they want to believe that they are these special, unique snowflakes that cannot be put into any category, cannot be understood, because human nature, human beings are so complex. And yet Bernays established the modern marketing, which manipulates even these supposed individuals, unique individuals, that cannot be completely understood according to, in their minds. It's always the case that the people that believe they are unique are the most conventional of them all. So anyways, Bernays managed to establish techniques to exploit and manipulate human nature, using, like I said, his uncle's insights, which were sexual, and sex is at the core of our species, because it is an answer to mortality. So the United States marketing, and we see it every time we open the television, and we see it in American politics, where there's only two political parties, and they brag, or they admit that money is what gets candidates elected. So if there was such thing as individuals that cannot be put into groups that don't have human nature, then how can money guarantee the election of candidates? Chomsky spoke about manufacturing consent, and he meant, of course, institutionally, using entertainment, media, or legacy media as it's called, education system. But what do these institutions use to manufacture consent? They use the pleasure principle, Pavlovian, pain, pleasure. This is how man domesticated many species, and this is how he domesticated himself. It's about exploiting and manipulating need and desire. And what the Epstein affair taught us was that the men with the most vices were the most easily controlled. So that's why in Americanism, the pleasure principle is promoted and enhanced. So in order to control somebody, all you have to do is find out what his pleasures are and what his pain tolerances are. But mostly his desires, the pleasure principle. If you know his what his pleasures are, then you can control him and exploit him. That's why hedonism is an American ideal, and it's part of the political system, and it's how they exploit and they manipulate the masses. Just take Trump as an example. Here is a man with a lot of vices, and that's why he's the president of the United States, because the people that put him there, because these candidates are vetted and they're selected by America's elite, and then the masses are manipulated into voting for them. The reason why he was elected, well, one of the reasons, is that he's a man with many vices. That means he's controllable. And that's what the United States has done across the world. It finds what they call useful idiots. That is, men with no shame, no scruples, no ideals, subjective, hedonists, who only care about themselves. And they exploit them. They use them to take control over a nation's resources. Look at Venezuela. Look at what they've done across the world. They put their puppets there. They're usually these yes men, men with weaknesses, that are controlled by their needs and their desires. So they're men who are easily manipulated, easily bribed, easily coerced. And those are the men the United States finds and uses to take over nations.